Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to our lifestyle show, Lifestyle with Dr. Mobi. I'm Dr. Mobi, and today we have an excellent guest. Wendy is here with us in studio. Welcome, Wendy. How are you doing?
I am great. Thank you so much for having me on this beautiful. We have a beautiful Monday here in the Northeast. Not a cloud in the sky, and the sun is shining.
Great, great. And that is very important that we feel great and we feel that today is a blessed and excellent day. So tell
Yes.
me about what do you do normally?
So my normal life, let's see, pre-pandemic or post-pandemic, because things have changed a lot. If you saw my bio, which I'm sure you did, I am an actress, a model, an author, a speaker, a documentary filmmaker, an interviewer, and a host. So that's a lot of hats.
Oh, yeah.
And once all of the pandemic happened, everything stopped for me. And I had to think to myself, Dr. Moby, what am I going to do now, right? Because as an entertainer, you're live with people all the time, right? You're seeing people, you're working off of your audience and all of that. Now all of a sudden, when the pandemic happened and we shut down in New York on March 12th, we
Mhm.
were we weren't able to like do any of the things that we normally did as entertainers. So I thought to myself, you have to come up with something, Wendy, that's going to keep you out there, that's going to keep you happy, and that'll keep you with your audience. So I had this idea to have a cooking show,
Oh,
pandemic cooking with Wendy. And this came about because like the day after they shut New York down, my husband is the cinematographer and director on our documentaries. And, we found ourselves, we're both in the same boat. What the heck are we going to do, right? We can't go anywhere. We're quarantined. So we came up with the idea, pandemic cooking with Wendy, which is very funny because Dr. Moby, I'm telling you the truth. I never cooked a day in my life. And I thought, what could be better than a cooking show during this time by someone that never cooked? Because we all, laughter, and I'm sure you know this better than anyone, laughter is one of the best medicines that we can have. And lifting people's spirits up, especially during a time like this, is something that is so valuable to people. So I have 77 episodes up. Can you believe that?
wow.
Yeah, really, really incredible. And I make things on the show that are really easy for people. Well, a little secret, I make them easy for me because even after 6 months, cooking will never be my thing, but performing is my thing. And if I'm cooking and performing at the same time, well, that's pretty good and pretty funny. And one of the cool things about this show is I get to be whatever character I want, right? Because I'm shooting it in my own kitchen. And as an actress, I had so many costumes and wigs in my closet. I kept all of this stuff from every show I ever did. And I always thought to myself, why are you keeping this? Why are you keeping all of these things? Where are you ever going to use these again other than a costume party? And look what happened. The pandemic happens, and I do different characters from all over the world because I can cook, let's just say India. Great place. I've actually been to India. I love it there. But I had, from my trip to India, I had the sari. I had a long dark wig that I wore in a show, and I made three different dishes from India. And you know what? They all came out great, much to my surprise. Carefully followed the recipe and everything. But, when I talked to my audience on camera, I said, okay, now today we're going to India. And I actually invented an airline that we take to India because we can invent anything virtually, right? And it's called Pandemic Airlines. And to fly Pandemic Airlines, I actually dress up like a flight attendant, like on a real airline. And I actually serve airplane food. You know, when you go on the airplane, they give it to you in the little dish with the aluminum foil and everything over it. I
Yeah.
created dishes that actually went with that. So it takes people away. It's a total fantasy. And for me, I know I'm making people feel good. It's incredible response that I've gotten to this. Besides being on so many people's shows since March, I've done tons of podcasts and radio shows. Besides that, I get more messages from people that say, thank you so much. I was feeling depressed about everything that's going on, but you made me feel good today. And let me tell you, that is everything to be able to do that.
Oh, yeah, that is very fascinating. I never thought that, simplicity is that, and there's a solution to it. I think COVID created a new solutions to a lot of problems we
Yeah.
already had. But, like yourself, you said you had all these costumes you never thought. That's very fascinating that you become the flight attendant, and then that is very funny and very nice actually at both.
Well, and we go to all these different places in the world, which is cool. I've taken people on my show to Italy. I did Italy like 2 weeks ago, and I had somebody come on with me actually in my kitchen. We have face shields on, and it's somebody that I know who's been very careful during the pandemic. And Frances likes to cook calabrese. She's very Italian. So we did a segment on calabrese cooking, which I don't know if you know anything about calabrese cooking. It's much more elaborate than regular Italian food. Everything's got a million ingredients. And I swear to you, my kitchen counter was covered with like chopped up everything, all kinds of tomato sauces, tomato paste, tomato sauce, canned tomatoes, and everything gets cooked in one pot. And we did like 4 dishes on that segment, and we really had such a good time. It's a very funny segment, and people that have watched it, they're like, oh my gosh, you took me away, you made me feel like I was in Italy, because none of us are going anywhere right now. So I don't know about you, but I make documentary films and I travel, and I can't go to the places where I make those films now. So we all have to really use our imagination to get ourselves whole and feel good about ourselves and the world right now. We have to put in a little extra effort. It is not easy.
Yeah, that is true. But that is what the beauty is, that when we are faced with such a difficult part in our life, we have to come up with solutions that are so simple, and then they are so effective. People think
Yes.
that you have to do this or that. Not really. You just have to just sit back and just be a little bit creative what you want to do, and then you will find the answer to all your problems even better.
But it's interesting you bring that up, Dr. Moby, because first of all, that's a hard thing for many people to do. They have so many thoughts in their heads, and we get all stressed out about what we think we should be doing or what people tell us we should be doing. And there's a lot of what I call chatter from the outside, right, that we hear in our heads. Interestingly enough, now I start this cooking show, right? Then a friend gets in touch with me and says, I'm putting a group together, a small group, to do a program called 21 Days of Meditation. Would you
Wow.
like to join? Right. Amazing, because it goes with exactly what you said. And I said, oh my gosh, that would be incredible. So that's Deepak Chopra. And every day we would get a new video that dealt with exactly what you were saying. So many of the videos did, just sitting back, right? And allowing the universe to do its thing. But one of the best things I found about doing this course, you were also given a task that you had to complete. We had a notebook, and it wasn't anything that you showed to anybody, it was for you. But ironically, when you start writing things down in a notebook, you really get your thoughts together, and the things that are really deep in there start to come out. And you can see the patterns that you have in your life that aren't good, but you can also see how to open up those channels and those pathways, right? And allow things to come in. And honestly, even for me, that's one of the hardest things. The course was amazing. I did every 21 days. And now, when I start to feel like a negative energy or those kinds of things, the kinds of things that just bother you for no reason, I really look deep into myself and I tell myself, okay, that maybe is not the reality. You have so many positive things going on in your life, and you need to embrace those and allow those to come in. And the positive things can come in. It can be an object, it can be a person, it can be a place, but you have to be consciously aware in order to take that in and benefit from it. And then, of course, you can share it with others. I think that's what we're talking about at the end of the day, right? Not
Yeah.
just us, but being able to take it out there and share it with others.
And that is, but always I tell, everybody, especially persons who are also in media and other, you make sure you help yourself, and same for providers, doctors, and just help yourself. Never put yourself in bad shape that you can't help others or
Right.
yourself. So it's happening also for medical providers, that if their health is not good, and then they're taking care of patients maybe with COVID and so forth, if they get it, they don't survive. So a lot of deaths in medical profession happened also with
Yeah.
COVID, is because they themselves didn't take care of their health or lifestyle. They were at the worst. So there are a lot of people you'll meet and see, they will preach things, but they don't practice those, or they don't follow themselves. So makes it harder, very hard.
Yes. Well,
Okay.
you know what they say, you have to practice what you preach. And in this time of COVID, not only am I keeping myself very mentally healthy, I'm doing a lot of, oh my gosh, I'm so busy all the time. Even it seems like there's a lot more things going on than before because
Mhm.
I've taken my reality, which was out there with people all the time and all the things I do. And
Mhm.
now, now it's on Zoom, now it's on StreamYard, now it's on Google Meet. What I did before, I've had to transcend and do it. I work off of an iPad, sometimes a computer, but I largely work off of an iPad. That's comfortable for me. And getting those positive messages out to people, but also getting them back. Look at the beauty of what we have today. You're in a whole other state. I'm in a whole other state. We are able to connect, right?
Yeah.
Virtually. And I've been on shows like up in Canada, all right, Austin, Texas, Tennessee, Mississippi. These are people normally I would never, how would I ever get to meet them? I would have to be flying all over the country to meet those people. And yet, look at what's changed for me. I go to a different state a few times a week. I had an interview over in the UK. How great is that to be able to touch other parts of the world? And the pandemic is truly a tragic thing. So we have to take what is good out of it. What is good is in many ways, it's bringing us all closer together. We're sharing information, we're sharing philosophies, and we're getting to meet people we normally never would have met.
That is true, that we are now creative. And I think first phase where we were in denial or some kind of, but now we are accepting it somehow, and we are finding ways to survive. And I mean, that's the story of
Yeah.
mankind, and humanity, that we find way. I mean, it's human mind is most creative ever. So when it's kind of thinking and not stressed, so which is, I think, exactly what you're saying, is that
Yes.
and I think, in a way, I think probably once it's all done and everything, maybe we'll be a little bit thankful to COVID and say, it gave us such new avenues. Looking at environment, I mean,
Yes.
number of cars out there are less, pollution is less. In Italy, they were saying they saw fish when the COVID was at the peak. The waters were much better. They could see
Of course.
fish there coming
Mhm.
back. And and not to mention, a lot of countries that, of course, they could see sky because the pollution and traffic was less. And so there is probably, some kind of good thing happening here, to beside, the tragedy we had. But I think
Yes.
it taught us a lot of things which we never thought. For medical profession, they used to force a lot of patients to travel for chemo or whatever, and now they are doing remote tele, which I also televisit like we are doing. So that is true. We could see, and who knew that I was gonna meet Wendy? You
Right.
know. So, and then, so tell me about your cooking experience. Some of the, I know you said you in your life you never cooked.
I
So
never cooked. I live in New York. Okay. I live in a city with, up until COVID, any kind of restaurant you could imagine. You could go to have any kind of food from anywhere in the world, the best
yeah.
of it. And you could get food delivered anytime that you wanted it. And I've lived in New York City my whole life. So that was my lifestyle, being a model and an actress, an author. Do I have time to cook? Never. Never. It's not something I ever had time to do. But because of the pandemic now, I'm doing things more like cooking. But I have to be honest with you, prior to this time, I did not cook at all. Anytime I would tell people, they bring them over and they had a homemade meal, I would tell them it was made in somebody else's home.
No.
No,
Okay.
definitely not my home. But
Mhm.
I am very, very aware of good nutrition, even with that. I know you're into wellness. I am very careful about what I eat. I think that that's important. As a country in the United States, our diet largely is not healthy, but more and more people are understanding that raw foods are great for them. Whole foods are great for them. When they shop, they're starting to become more mindful. And I'm going to tell you something, you have to be, because this pandemic was a wake up call.
Mhm.
And when you think of it, a lot of the people that were the most vulnerable initially, were obese, they had underlying conditions. Not everybody, because I happen to know healthy people, very healthy people that got sick. But it really made you aware, hey, what am I eating every day? What am I putting into my body? And I'm a big believer in supplements. Are you a big believer in vitamins?
I yes, I do recommend vitamins. The only thing I say, check your levels and make sure
Yes,
you don't take more than what you really need.
right.
Yes, you do. There is, one notion which I try to educate always is that there's a fine line between medicine and toxicity or toxic effects, and vitamins are no different. So yes, especially water soluble vitamins, vitamin C and B1, those your body don't store. So yes, you will run out in a week. So the fat soluble vitamins, your body does store, and
Yes.
you don't run out, but you need them both. For a lot of people, vitamin D is a big
D
problem.
is very important.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I'm a fan of those, but I always tell them know your subject. Don't take all of them. You should know exactly which one you need, when, how much you need, and then monitor that. So there's a science to it. And so what I don't recommend is just taking blindly all of them.
Right. So
That's
you've brought up a very good point here. So I go to a nutritionist slash Eastern doctor slash Western doctor, and
Mhm.
my doctor does vitamin panels every 3 months on all her patients. She's totally into wellness. And the vitamin panels are very important for exactly what you said. Without getting that blood work done, you don't know what you're deficient in, you don't know
Mm.
where your levels are. And
Yeah.
she's just terrific because her name is Dr. Rashti Galati. Maybe you've
Mm.
heard of her, but she's very well known in the wellness world as well. And her patients come there because they all feel incredible. And I have a ton of energy from all the things I take. But once again, all the things I take are monitored. So with vitamin B, it's really easy with the B's to sometimes end up with more than you need. You really
Yeah.
have to monitor that one.
Yeah.
Vitamin D seems to be a broad base one. but I have consistently taken, whether it's winter, in the winter, I take 50,000 once a week. So that would
Mm,
be, around 7,000 a day or 8,000 a day. But I take 50,000, one big pill once a week. In the
mm.
summer, of course, I cut it down because I'm getting more natural vitamin D. But during the pandemic, they came out saying there's certain things that we should take. Now, I was told yesterday by a friend very knowledgeable in this about amino acids having an effect on your immune system. What do you know about amino acids? It's the first time I heard amino acids mentioned.
Personally, I tell everybody take vitamin C, and
Yeah,
that for sure. That does help your immune and boost everything. That's true. And with COVID, also zinc helps. Yes, it can. And vitamin D is important. Beyond that, the immune system, very important for a lot of people to know is make sure your immune system works out of very simple thing, that is your antibodies and cell mediated immunity. Now, those two are very important in terms of your overall health. So, if you're diabetic, if your sugars are high, and if your BMI is high, and if fat percentage of the body is more than what you need or what you can help yourself, chances are your immune system will be at default. It doesn't matter how much
yeah,
vitamins and those you do take, it does help very little bit then, because the big problem will be then if you're diabetic and pre-diabetes with obesity, a lot of Americans. So diabetes is a pandemic now too. So a lot of people don't know, but they don't get checked, and so they develop heart disease. But imagine if you have blood sugars high, and in all the cells of your body, bacteria or virus will have a party. Okay, because then
that's so well put. You're right.
so you know that so
Yeah.
then obesity is tremendous. Okay, so I don't like to kind of go on that saying that or do diet, but I tell it is not to look good only, it is to help your body. That is number one point always. And if you're healthy and if you get your blood tested and everything is looking good, I'm very happy for you. Then doesn't matter how you look or what you look. But if it's the other way around, then it's not good for you. So a lot of problems does happen. I mean, you can take whatever you, but don't lose the basics. That's
Right.
always.
Right. You always have to have the basics. And if you want to throw into that, having an exercise program, of course,
Yeah,
is
yeah.
really important. What was challenging during COVID is the gym. My exercise living in New York City comes from the gym mostly. So they shut the gym down. And I was able to continue to lift weights and do floor work and those kinds of things. But my cardio, I wasn't able to do. I tried running. It was not good for me pounding on the sidewalk. I tried fast walking, but that's not the same as, being on an elliptical machine or a treadmill where you can set things for resistance and
Mhm.
have, a consistent control over your heart rate that way. I'm so excited though. I went back to the gym last week. They opened
Oh.
up the gyms in New York. How about you? Are the gyms open where you are?
Yeah, limited. We are
Limited.
in Virginia, not far from all this. But our state has probably better control on COVID. But I tell you also about gym, and this is my personal experience. Now, myself, I lost 100 pounds. Okay,
You lost
and
100 during the pandemic? Oh my
no,
gosh.
no, before that.
Ah,
But in during pandemic, I never gained a single pound. Okay, because I live very a disciplined life. Of course, I eat kind of always healthy, but that's the key. But also about the exercise. Now, before pandemic, I would go to gyms, and I do treadmill 5 miles a day. Okay,
wow.
so but during pandemic and then aftermath, so I have stopped actually doing those treadmills altogether, and I just do walking during day, and I make a point just to go out and just kind of walk 15-20 minutes, 15-20 minutes. I find it more useful and more healthier than treadmill. That's my experience now. So I've not used treadmill for almost a year now or more.
Oh,
So
that's interesting. So you don't see, I feel maybe it's the difference between a man's body and a woman's body. I definitely know if I'm on the elliptical trainer or treadmill, I burn more fat. I know if I went running in the park, if I liked doing that, or if I felt that was safe for my knees, I would burn more fat. Walking for me just doesn't, and before this all happened, because I go to auditions and I'm all over the city, I walk every single day. But I still found I needed the gym to get my heart rate up and to burn fat. So that's interesting. I love talking to people about this just to see what their own personal experiences. So you have basically discovered walking.
yeah, I discovered walking, and then a very important trick I will tell you, and which is true. I mean, Lord, I still, it's been now, more than a couple of years, and I have kept my weight down. I don't even gain a single pound. My body, I analyze every month in terms of fat and body chemistry. A very important thing is to realize is what you're describing is also true, that you don't burn some of the fat with running. But remember, fat burning comes from slow walking or slow running, not from fast. So the cardio, the heart rate which goes up, is actually more beneficial for heart, but you luckily you don't need that all the time. You need few strong ones, every so often, where your heart rate goes up, that you also need that cardio. But fat burning is a different process, so for that you need a slower speed but for a long time. So which means that you need to do, maybe if you were running 4 miles per hour on treadmill, you need to do at 2.5. Or so what the main point is, be gentle on your joints. So
Yes.
because um, for fat you don't need to do that, but you need to put more time for sure, absolutely, because fat does not go. The other thing is also remember, there are two ways to the body works of very simple principle, which is the net. So if you feed your body more, of course, then you have to burn than your body needs. And for both, for anyone, it's same. The difference between men and women are the leanness. So
The
men
leanness,
can,
yes.
yeah, so the fat percentage of the body can go down all the way down to, for me, 6%. For women, it should not go down to that. Should be around, 15%.
Wow.
You are kind of double on that. But for men, actually, it is more. You have to be more perfect on that. You have to be more muscular and less fat. So and
For
it
the
is,
heart.
yeah, for the heart, and it's a tragedy for that social norms somehow allow men to be more fat, and they say, okay, because if you don't have a belly, you don't look like that. So that's sad, but that is toxic, actually, in my opinion, for men.
Yes, I agree with you on that.
So actually, for women, they can gain some, and that's perfect. Okay, so there's nothing wrong with. So everybody tries to push them to be extra leaner, and everybody forgets about men. So actually, it's toxic for the body to be more. My opinion. This is my.
Right. So if you were going to give a recommendation for a woman to burn fat walking, how much time do you think she should do every day?
Personally, I do a 2.5 hour.
Wait, you walk 2.5 hours?
Hmm.
Is that 2.5 hours straight, or do you break it up, or
But I break it up.
you break it up? Okay.
So I break it up throughout. The advantage is you can actually do a lot of things throughout day. and everything counts. So wear a watch or some kind of Fitbit or
A
whatever you like.
Fitbit. I'm thinking when you said that, I'm thinking, so you wear a Fitbit all the time, right?
Well, I don't wear Fitbit, but I actually carry my phone. Now the
Okay.
phone has the best is carry the phone. Don't wear Fitbit sometime, because problem is you can wear Fitbit if you want. The problem is every time you move the arm, it might give wrong info. But
Oh, that's interesting, right?
on the other hand, if you have your phone, you know that a phone. So I carry my phone, so I count all that. And also, you need to do exercise throughout day, but try to do more walking towards evening and night, because what it does is relaxes your body. So there's a big difference between walking and also this exercise running. So the response is totally different to the body, because one is relaxing, the other is not. So which means it kind of pumps up your hormones, sleep, and so forth. Those are very different. And I think with the short of time for this, I can wrap up this episode and we can talk offline. Is that okay?
Oh yeah, yeah, we're fine.
Okay.
Absolutely. It's so great being here. Before I leave, I
Hmm.
want to tell you about my book. It's called She's the Last Model Standing. It's available on Amazon. And being that we're talking about health and wellness here today, I have a bunch of chapters in that book about health and wellness, as well as talking about my life being in New York since the late 70s and all the amazing things that happened to me, and how I went from modeling, acting, stand up comedy, spokesperson, to adding documentary filmmaker in that. I make films with my husband, and currently I'm very excited about this. We just got a film into the Catskill International Film Festival up here. All the film festivals this year are online, unfortunately, so no red carpets, no parties, but we're excited to have our film there. The film is called Whispers and Witnesses, Primate Rescue in Cameroon. And we flew to Africa to make this film about the plight of gorillas and chimpanzees and how they are being poached. So that's the kind of work I do. And I have to tell you, when I'm in a place like Africa, I'm eating so healthy because it's just very, very basic food. And I never think about gaining weight because my body is so active, because
Yeah.
you're walking everywhere. You're not sitting all the time. So, my solution to health and wellness is to go make films in Africa. I highly recommend it.
Yeah, that is so true that a lot of people don't realize that activity is very important.
Very,
So
very important.
So that is the message. And thank you for coming our show. So
Thank
we'll
you.
end this, and then I will continue our conversation after this. 1 second. So I'll
Yeah.
end the program. Thank you for watching our show.